My gorgeous heiress wife and I were reborn together. Now I'm desperately trying to stay away from her. After learning her first love had died, my wife, who hadn't let me touch her in our 10 years of marriage, walked into my room for the first time wearing lingerie. She said, "Tonight I'm yours. Just don't break me." In the heat of the moment, she quietly whispered, "Let's not meet in the next life." The next morning, my wife leaped from the rooftop, ending her life. Only then did I understand she'd never truly gotten over Leo Vance. Reborn in my youth, she decisively shook my hand off and strode toward her first love. I watched them walk away, then turned and left myself. From that day forward, our lives were nothing more than two parallel lines, never to cross again. 10 years later, we met again at a New York City gala. She had become a rising star among the elite, appearing on Leo Vance's arm, looking utterly smitten. When she saw me barge into the gala, looking for someone, she couldn't resist lecturing me. "Why must you be so obsessed with me? Even if you waited 10 years, I would never fall in love with you." I ignored her and pulled my son, who was sneaking cake, out from a corner. Her eyes suddenly widened, and she gripped my hand tightly. "Are you doing this just to spite me? Didn't you say you would only love me for the rest of your life?" I never imagined that in this new life I would ever cross paths with Chloe Dubosi again. At the High Society Gala in New York, she stood in the crowd with Leo Vance on her arm, her smile elegant and refined, showing no trace of the girl she once was. The people gathered around them were all smiles, their tones fawning. Miss Dubosi is truly a woman who holds her own against any man. To land such a significant project at a young age, her future is boundless, and this must be your partner. You two make such a stunning couple. The envy of everyone here. Leo Vance glanced at Chloe with deep affection and said gently, "We're planning to get married at the end of the year. If you're free, you're all welcome to come to the wedding." Another round of congratulations erupted until someone asked, "I heard you two have been together for 10 years. Why wait until now to get married?" I was a little curious about that myself. In my past life, Chloe loved Leo so much she was willing to follow him in death. After being reborn, she broke up with me almost instantly. I had assumed they would get married right after college, but I guess they still hadn't made it official. Hearing this, a barely perceptible stiffness crossed Chloe's face before she covered it with a smile. Career first, family later. I wanted to give Leo the best life possible. She looked at Leo, the adoration in her eyes practically overflowing. In my past life, when we were together, I proposed to her several times. It wasn't until her family put pressure on her that Chloe reluctantly agreed to marry me. It turns out the difference between loving someone and not is painfully obvious. I was about to turn and leave when I caught a glimpse of a small figure out of the corner of my eye, and my body moved before I could think. Crash. Champagne spilled everywhere. The waiter holding the tray glared at me, his face a mask of annoyance. "Where did you come from? Watch where you're going." His voice was loud enough to draw everyone's attention. When she saw my face, Chloe was stunned. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" I lowered my head and apologized to the waiter. "I'm here looking for someone." Someone curious asked Chloe, "Ms. Dubosi, you know him?" Chloe's hand holding a wine glass tightened. Her expression grew serious. "Yes, an ex-boyfriend." Someone nearby blurted out, "You two were together for 10 years. I thought you were each other's first loves." The smile on Leo's face faded slightly. He squeezed Chloe's hand and said dismissively, "We were young. We had a fight and broke up for a bit. Everyone makes mistakes when they're young, right?" Chloe didn't say anything. Her gaze flickered past me to the waiter. "Put the damages on my tab. Let him go." She stood there, her expression placid, showing no interest in giving me so much as a second glance after that initial shock. It was clear she wanted to draw a firm line in front of Leo, distancing herself from the wrong turn she'd taken with me. The waiter immediately started pushing me toward the exit. "Ms. Dubosi was kind enough to clean up your mess, but don't expect it to happen again." He glanced at my wrinkled pajamas with disgust. "This isn't the kind of place for you. Get out." I pulled my arm away from his grasp and explained patiently, "I'm looking for someone. As soon as I find them, I'll leave." The waiter scoffed and rolled his eyes. "I've seen plenty of social climbers like you. You think you belong at a gala like this? If you don't leave right now, I'm calling security." Wait, Chloe's voice came from behind him. Lifting the hem of her dress, she walked over, sighed, and looked at me with resignation. He's here for me. Let me handle this. Leo stood beside her, draping a possessive arm around her shoulder. Ethan, Chloe and I are getting married soon. I think a man with any self-respect wouldn't be chasing after his ex at a time like this. Chloe's expression soured, and she couldn't help but lecture me. Why must you be so obsessed with me? Even if you waited 10 years, I would never fall in love with you. Being with you was a mistake. Now that I finally have the chance to correct it, I hope you can move on. Leo looked me up and down, his eyes filled with scorn. I can understand why you'd come looking for Chloe. After all, she's not the same person she was. She's a well-known entrepreneur now, with no shortage of people trying to get on her good side. Perhaps my wrinkled pajamas gave him a surge of confidence because Leo said smugly, "You went to a good school, didn't you? How did you end up like this?" If I were you, I'd be too ashamed to even leave the house. Chloe frowned, pulled out her phone, her voice tinged with impatience. If you feel like I wronged you when we broke up, I can compensate you now. Is $100,000 enough? Her fingers tapped on the screen a few times, then suddenly froze. You deleted my number. I was a little confused, unsure why she was reacting so strongly. Deleting an ex's number after a breakup is pretty normal, isn't it? Besides, I have someone at home who gets incredibly jealous. If she knew I still had my ex's contact information, she would definitely raise hell. Weren't you the one who said you hoped I wouldn't contact you again after we broke up? Chloe's expression turned cold. She looked like she wanted to say something but held her tongue. I added calmly, "And I don't need the money." Rebuffed repeatedly, Chloe's expression soured even more. She said coldly, "Stop putting on an act. If you weren't so obviously pathetic, I wouldn't even waste my breath on you." Leo gently soothed her. "Chloe, you're just too kind. If you ask me, why even bother with a guy like this? Look at the state of him. He's a complete lost cause." His tone was dismissive, as if he'd forgotten that 10 years ago he was in a much worse state than I was. In my past life, Chloe's family disapproved of her relationship with Leo because he was a good-for-nothing punk with a criminal record. The first time I met Chloe in college, she had just bailed Leo out of jail, and her family was forcing them to break up. During Chloe's darkest time, I was the one who stayed by her side and helped her through it. She loved photography, so I used the money I'd saved to start a business to buy her thousands of dollars worth of camera gear. Through freezing winters and scorching summers, I'd lug all her heavy equipment, following behind her, just hoping to see a genuine smile on her face. Who would have thought that Chloe was the one who asked me out first? I knew about her past with Leo, and I'd seen her spacing out while looking at old photos of them together. So when Chloe confessed her feelings, I asked her very seriously, "Are you really over Leo?" She held me tight, her voice firm. "That's in the past. I've realized who truly cares for me. Ethan, I love you. Let's be together." We dated for 7 years. Even her best friend was surprised. She was so in love with Leo. "I never thought you two would last." But what no one knew was that Chloe had privately rejected my marriage proposals countless times. "Ethan, I don't believe in marriage. Can't we just stay like this forever?" It wasn't until her parents started pressuring her relentlessly that she finally agreed to get married. During our honeymoon, news came that Leo had died in a car accident. She jumped from the cruise ship, leaving only a suicide note behind. The note was filled with declarations of her love for Leo. There wasn't a single word for me. At the very end, she had written in her own blood, "Leo, I only ever wanted to be your bride. I'm coming to you now." In that moment, my love for her turned completely to ash. So, when Chloe wanted to break up with me after I was reborn, I didn't try to stop her. I knew it was useless. After watching them get back together, I deleted all of Chloe's contact information, assuming we would never see each other again. I never expected to run into her here. I tried to leave, but Leo was relentless, determined to humiliate me in front of everyone. "You're really pulling out all the stops to get Chloe's attention. Dressed like that, I bet you can't even hold down a job. How about this? I can get you a job as a waiter here. If you learn how to serve people properly, you could even make 5 figures a month." Someone nearby, trying to gain favor with him, added with a smirk, This is one of the most exclusive hotels in New York. A job here would be the opportunity of a lifetime for someone like you. You should be thanking Mr. Vance. I was surrounded and couldn't get away. So I replied wearily, thanks, but I already have a job. I'm a photographer. As soon as I said photographer, Chloe's head snapped toward me. A complex emotion flickered in her eyes, and her lips parted as if to speak. She turned her head away, her tone dismissive. How much can you possibly make from photography? A hobby won't pay the bills. For old time's sake, I can find you a real job. I paused, realizing immediately that she had misunderstood. My passion for photography has nothing to do with any lingering feelings for Chloe. In fact, the moment I read that suicide note in my past life, any hope I had died completely. It's just that when I was reborn, I discovered all my money had already been spent on camera equipment. I couldn't sell it online, so I figured I might as well use it myself. And as it turned out, I truly fell in love with it. This time I wasn't doing it to please anyone else, only for myself. I politely declined Chloe's offer again, my tone courteous but distant. My hobby pays the bills just fine, but thank you for your concern. Seeing me reject her generosity, a flash of anger crossed Chloe's face. Fine, don't take the opportunity I'm offering you. Just don't come crying to me later. I said nothing, and I didn't bother to tell her. These days, my work is exclusively featured in several national magazines and top international publications. Between licensing fees and royalties, my income is no less than hers. But if I told her that, she'd just think I was lying. After all, in these wrinkled pajamas, I certainly looked the part of a failure. It was my son's fault, really. He'd insisted I play with him in the sandbox, and the moment I turned my back, he slipped away downstairs. I chased after him without even having time to change. Just as I was looking for an excuse to leave, the waiter seemed to spot something. He pointed at my clothes. Balenciaga? Where did you find that? You're not one of the cleaning staff, are you? Did you steal that from a guest's room? I couldn't help but frown. Couldn't it just be mine? Leo sneered mockingly. Yours? You think you can afford that? What wealthy person runs around dressed so sloppily? He made a show of pinching his nose. It's so filthy. You probably put it on without even washing it. Chloe stared at me, her brow furrowed in deep disapproval. Ethan, have you really fallen this far? Are you still going to be stubborn? I didn't want to engage with them, so I addressed the waiter directly. If you really think I stole something, feel free to call the police. I knew he was just trying to suck up to Leo by putting me down. Sure enough, his bravado vanished and he muttered under his breath. If there wasn't a very important guest at the hotel tonight, I would have called the cops on you already. We can't have riffraff like you disturbing them. Leo's eyes lit up and he quickly jumped in. You mean the Rockwells, right? I heard she's in New York with her family, staying right here at this hotel. Chloe nodded, a hopeful glint in her eye. If we could get the Rockwells to back our current project, it would be a game changer. The name Rockwell was like a spark, igniting a flurry of excited conversation. Isn't that why we're all here tonight? For a chance to meet her? Her family owns this entire building. I heard she got married and had a kid in her early 20s. No idea who the lucky guy is. As the crowd murmured, the hotel manager rushed in, sweating and followed by a security team. Excuse me, everyone. Have any of you seen a 7-year-old boy about this tall? The manager wiped sweat from his brow, his eyes scanning the room frantically. Someone with quick wit saw the commotion and put 2 and 2 together. Is it the Rockwell boy? I heard he just turned 7. A wave of enthusiasm swept through the guests, who eagerly began to search. After all, finding the boy would be a golden opportunity to get in with the Rockwell family. Chloe and Leo joined the search, forgetting all about me. I surveyed the chaotic room and walked straight toward the dessert table. Sure enough, I found him hiding underneath, his face covered in frosting. I held out my hand, my expression stern. Come here. My son jumped, startled, and clung to the table leg for dear life. No. Just as I was about to pull him out, Leo appeared from nowhere, blocking my path self-righteously. Ethan, what do you think you're doing? Even if you're desperate to get in with the Rockwells, you don't have to resort to manhandling a child. Chloe rushed over, her eyes filled with disappointment as she looked at me. Ethan, I can't believe you'd stoop this low for a shot at fame and fortune. The waiter grabbed the manager's arm, pointing at me. It's him. He's the one who crashed the party, and he stole another guest's clothes. The manager's face hardened instantly, and he called for security. Arrest this thief and take him to the police station. If the young master was frightened because of him, you're all fired. A triumphant smirk flashed in Leo's eyes. He bent down, putting on a friendly face for the Rockwell boy. Come here, buddy. I'll protect you. My son completely ignored him and, to everyone's astonishment, cautiously reached for my hand. Dad, I know I was wrong. I pinched his ear and said sternly, Did you forget what the dentist said? You have cavities and you're still sneaking sweets. Seeing my son wince, Leo was quick to reprimand me. Let the kid eat what he wants. Who are you to tell him no? I said flatly, I'm his father. That gives me every right. It took a moment for Leo to process what my son had just called me. He fell silent, his eyes darting between me and the boy. I let go, and my son immediately pressed against me, trying to get back in my good graces. Dad, I only had a little bit. I won't get any more cavities. He smeared the frosting from his face all over my clothes. I held him at arm's length, annoyed. When your mother finds out, I'm not saving you from the lecture. My son is losing his baby teeth, and his love for sweets has already resulted in several cavities. Whenever his teeth hurt, Olivia's heart breaks for him. But she can never resist his pleading and always ends up letting it slide. On this vacation, Olivia had to take a work call, and since I'm much stricter, he snuck down to the gala to get his sugar fix. Seeing my stern expression, my son hugged my leg, trying to charm me. Dad, I promise I'll never do it again. The manager standing nearby was trembling, his voice barely a whisper. You're Ms. Rockwell's husband? I nodded curtly. Yes. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and forced a smile. It seems we've made a terrible mistake. Please, would you and the young master like to go upstairs to freshen up? Looking down at the frosting all over me, I was about to follow the manager when a hand grabbed my arm. I turned. It was Chloe. Her mouth opened and closed a few times before she finally managed to speak. You're married. You have a son. I pulled my shirt from her grasp and nodded nonchalantly. Yes, we got married right after college. Olivia and I met through photography. I was on a shoot abroad when I found Olivia, who had slipped and fallen down a ravine while hiking. The area was remote with no cell service, and it took a great deal of effort to get her to safety. While we waited for help, she looked through my portfolio and we started talking. We quickly discovered we had a lot in common. By the time we flew back to the States, we were already a couple. To my surprise, her family didn't look down on me because of my background. Olivia just smiled, her gaze steady as she looked me in the eye. Ethan, your character is why I chose you. I thought that after everything with Chloe, it would be difficult for me to fall in love again. But Olivia taught me that love, real love, is mutual. Looking back on my past life, all that pain and struggle feels so distant now. My son, now in my arms, was getting impatient. Dad, can we go find Mom? I miss her. But Chloe wouldn't move out of the way. She stared at me, her gaze intense and unyielding. Are you doing this just to spite me? Didn't you say you would only love me for the rest of your life? You said that. A woman's voice came from behind me, followed by a ripple of greetings from the crowd. Ms. Rockwell, good evening. I turned to see Olivia standing there. She took my arm and looked at Chloe, her tone coolly neutral. Is this your ex-girlfriend? Fearing a jealous outburst, I quickly explained. We dated for a month when we were young. We haven't spoken in 10 years. My haste to distance myself from her made Chloe's face pale. I thought for a moment, then added, and for the record, I never said I would only love her my whole life. Chloe stared at me, understanding the implication. The man who said that was from another life. In this new life, we both chose different paths. That promise is null and void, she said, her voice laced with bitterness. But we have so much history. How could you just forget all of it and be with someone else? Leo's face was thunderous. I sighed. Why not? You're with Leo, aren't you? You're getting married next month, yet you're here lecturing me. Don't you think that's a bit hypocritical? My words left Chloe speechless, her face a mixture of pale and flushed. Before she could say more, Leo had had enough. Chloe, let's go. He's married. He has nothing to do with you anymore. I'm the one who's by your side. But as he reached for her, she slapped his hand away. Staring at the red mark on the back of his hand, Leo's face turned beet red. In the past, Chloe would have rushed to his side, fussing over his hand. Now she didn't even spare him a glance. Leo shot me a look of pure, unadulterated hatred. Olivia, with a faint, unreadable smile, looked Chloe up and down before speaking slowly. I was wondering which little girl had her eye on my husband. Turns out it's just the ex trying to get your ex back before you've even broken up with your fiancé? That's a new level of shameless. Chloe's face went pale and she stammered, trying to explain. No, I held up a hand, cutting her off. Chloe, what we had is over. I have a family now and you have someone too. I wish you all the best. Those last words hit her like a physical blow, leaving her stunned. She stared at me, tears beginning to stream down her face. Ethan, have you really forgotten our past? I don't believe you. We were together for so long. You loved me so much. The displeasure on Olivia's face was growing more apparent. She gave a cold laugh. A month? Is that supposed to be a long time? Longer than we've been married. I knew Chloe was talking about our past life, about the 10 years I spent devoted to her. But there was no way Olivia would believe that. I shook my head, cutting Chloe off. I haven't forgotten. I've moved on. I don't care anymore. In this life we both chose different paths. That should tell you that the past doesn't matter. I threw her own words back at her. Chloe, why are you so obsessed? Whatever was between us is long over. As soon as I finished, Chloe's eyes welled up. I had no interest in continuing the conversation. As I started to move, Olivia spoke again, her voice deliberate. I believe I heard someone accuse my husband of being a thief and threaten to call the police. The waiter, shoulders trembling, immediately began to apologize profusely. It was my mistake. I completely misjudged your husband. I am so sorry to both of you. He bowed so low his head nearly touched the floor, all his previous arrogance gone. After dealing with the waiter, Olivia turned her attention to Leo. And you? You wanted to offer my husband a job as a busboy in my hotel? Should I thank you on his behalf? A sarcastic smile played on her lips. My husband's royalties alone are in the 7 figures annually. Unless you can top that, I think we'll pass. Leo managed a weak smile and tried to shrink back into the crowd. I was just joking. Please don't take it seriously. Under Olivia's gaze, the other guests who had been watching quickly looked away. The ones who had joined in on mocking me were now holding their breath, terrified she might remember their faces. Having done all that, Olivia finally looked at me and raised an eyebrow. I knew what she was doing. She was defending my honor. With our son in one arm, I wrapped the other around her waist and said affectionately, "Thank you, my love. I'm not angry anymore." Chloe started to follow us as if to say something more, but a sharp look from Olivia stopped her in her tracks. Back in our suite, Olivia immediately had someone help get our son and me cleaned up. Then she got on her phone and had her assistant order me a whole new wardrobe. She grumbled, "Those snobs. I look away for 1 second and they're treating you like dirt. Don't you worry, darling. From now on, you won't be seen in anything that costs less than 5 figures. I won't have those people looking down on you." I sighed, stopping her spending spree. I'm always running around on location for shoots. I can't be wearing expensive suits. I just need something durable that I don't mind getting dirty. Olivia frowned. Then her face lit up with another idea. Then how about a new car? Would you prefer a Maserati or a Maybach? I shook my head. It was clear that what happened tonight had really upset her. Olivia has been so good to me over the years. Some people who knew about my background assumed that marrying into her family meant I'd become her glorified assistant, catering to her every whim. After all, marriages with such a huge disparity in wealth and status are rarely equal. But in reality, Olivia has always respected me and my career. When she's not busy, she'll even travel with me on shoots and ask me to teach her photography. We're no different from any other happy couple. And especially after seeing Chloe tonight, I am more certain than ever that I made the right choice. I thought that night at the gala would be the last time I ever saw Chloe. I was wrong. I ran into her again while I was out scouting locations. She was wearing a simple white dress, no makeup, looking a lot like she did back in college. The moment she saw me, she stood up. "Ethan, I knew you'd come here." She bit her lip, her eyes filled with anguish. "You haven't forgotten the past. You still love me, don't you?" I instinctively took a step back. Looking around, I realized we were in the park we used to frequent. I had come to shoot by the lake and had chosen this spot for its convenience. I never expected to find her here. It seemed she had been waiting for me. I felt a headache coming on. I couldn't understand why she wouldn't just give up. "Chloe, the past is over. I don't understand what you hope to achieve by doing this. To ask if I still love you? I've told you countless times that I don't. Why can't you accept that? Are you trying to force me to say I love you? Then what? I divorce Olivia, you break up with Leo, and we get back together." Before the words were even fully out of my mouth, Chloe rushed forward. "Yes, of course we can get back together." This time I was genuinely stunned. I had assumed she was just hung up on the past, upset that the man who had worshipped her for a decade was no longer at her beck and call. I never imagined she actually wanted to get back together. I took another step back, frowning. "Are you insane? In another life you died for him. In this one you chose him and now you want to break up." "Ethan, I'm so sorry." A pained expression crossed Chloe's face as she spoke in a low voice. "Yes, it's true. The first thing I did in this life was go back to Leo. But after we got together, I realized I didn't love him as much as I thought I did. He's actually proposed to me several times, but I always said no. I couldn't stop thinking about our unfinished honeymoon from our past life." Hearing her bring up the past life, I said calmly, "I remember the suicide note you left. It said you only ever wanted to be Leo's bride." Chloe said quickly, "But I regret it. I truly regret choosing Leo. If I could do it all over again, I would never have left you. Ethan, can we please start over? This time I promise I'll be completely devoted to you. I'll never hurt you again." Her heartfelt confession just sounded ridiculous to me. You want another do-over? Getting a second chance at life was a miracle. "Chloe, we're adults. We have to live with the consequences of our choices." I looked her in the eye and said softly, "I have no regrets in this life. I don't regret leaving you. I don't regret marrying Olivia. And I don't regret building a life that is truly my own." Chloe asked, her voice filled with resentment, "I'm the one with 10 years of history with you. I love you just as much as she does. Why did you have to choose her?" I just smiled and asked her, "We had 10 years together. So tell me, what's my favorite food? What am I allergic to? What's my favorite color? What video games do I like?" With each question, the color drained from Chloe's face. I sighed. "Chloe, you say you love me, but what is it you love? For those 10 years I was always trailing behind you, sacrificing my own needs to cater to yours. You didn't love me. You loved my unconditional, selfless devotion." I held up my camera. "In this life, I'm not living for anyone else. I'm living for myself. And Olivia loves me for who I really am." After that day, Chloe never bothered me again. Olivia, on the other hand, brought her up a few times, clearly still wary of my ex. She's always been the jealous type, so I told her exactly what happened at the park, and it took a good deal of reassuring before she finally let it go. Not long after, I heard that Chloe's company had gone bankrupt. It was only then that I learned Leo had been hiding a severe gambling addiction from her. Leo had always been a degenerate, but with money, he became completely reckless. Chloe had always been too lenient with him, even putting him in charge of the company's finances at his insistence. That was a fatal mistake. Someone had targeted the naive, newly wealthy fool, setting up a custom-made trap just for him. After he and Chloe fought about me, he went straight to a casino. In a drunken haze, he gambled away every penny he had. Terrified of Chloe finding out, he started embezzling company funds, hoping to win it all back. But you never win it back at a casino. Not only did he not win, he lost everything. Chloe didn't find out until the company's cash flow dried up completely. By then it was too late. And because they had finally gotten married, his gambling debts were now their shared marital debt. I was at a function with Olivia when I overheard some people discussing it. Chloe Dubosi was such a promising young entrepreneur. It's a shame her taste in men is so terrible. She married that loser and threw her whole life's work away. I know. And I heard he hits her too. Beats her whenever he loses money. I saw her last summer, covered from head to toe. But you could still see a bruise by her eye. Hearing this, Olivia frowned. She had no love for Chloe, but she was still a woman. I'm going to find her a lawyer. Help her file for divorce. What do you think? I nodded, sighing internally. To have chosen a new life only for it to end like this, Chloe's regret must be immeasurable. After Leo put Chloe in the hospital one more time, the lawyer finally won the divorce case. Leo was sent to prison for assault, back to the place he knew best. After she recovered, Chloe asked to see me. Olivia scoffed. I'm the one who helped her out of that mess. Why does she need to see you? So when Chloe arrived, Olivia didn't give her a warm welcome. I helped you with the divorce, but don't think for a second we're paying off your debts. Chloe lowered her head, embarrassed. After a long moment of hesitation, she found the courage to speak to Olivia. Thank you. I was wrong before. I should have stayed away from your husband. I won't say anything about getting back together ever again. She closed her eyes for a moment, then forced the words out. I know that you're the one he loves now. I was a little surprised. I hadn't expected her to finally understand. I'm glad you can finally move on. Chloe managed to smile, but the fading bruises on her face made it look incredibly bitter. People are like that, aren't they? You don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. I was always chasing what I couldn't have. First it was Leo and then it was you. But I understand now. This time around, it's enough that one of us found happiness. With that, she turned and walked away. Olivia glanced at me. Aren't you going to see her out? I pulled her into a hug and smiled. I only know that I need to cherish the person right here in front of me.